Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into our source material, a literal thousand-year-old text, to tackle a very modern and honestly very exhausting problem. I'm talking about that constant gnawing anxiety of always living in what's next. If you're feeling burnt out, stretched way too thin, or just running on empty lately, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to use some absolutely fascinating ancient wisdom to completely reframe how we approach our modern lives and, of course, our work. So let me ask you a quick question to kick things off. Are you always living in what's next? You know exactly the type of person I'm talking about here. Actually, maybe it's you. You're a high achiever, you work tirelessly, but if you're being totally honest, you rarely feel truly happy. It's like the current project isn't even finished yet and you're already anxious about the next one going wrong. Or maybe that big, shiny promotion just landed, and instead of actually celebrating, you're instantly consumed by the stress of keeping it. And really, that gets right to the root of the whole problem. It's about trying way too hard and staking your entire sense of self on one single heavily loaded word: results. You do everything right, you check all the boxes, yet you walk around with this lingering pit in your stomach feeling that you're standing on a floor that could just collapse at any second. Why? Well, because your entire worth, literally your right to exist, is tied completely to winning or losing. If you win, you finally get to exhale. But if you lose, you fall apart. If that description tightens something in your chest even a little bit, then I have something incredibly powerful to share with you. Section 1. Dwell nowhere, mind arises. This concept comes straight from our source material, the Diamond Sutra, which is a 5,000-word ancient Buddhist text. And what's really amazing is that the entire weight of this massive, profound document essentially rests on just this one quote: dwell nowhere and let the mind arise. The story goes that over 1,000 years ago, an illiterate woodcutter was just walking through a busy marketplace. He heard someone reciting this exact line out loud, and in that single instant, something inside him just opened up. He experienced an instant awakening and later became Huineng, the famous Sixth Patriarch of Zen. Now, today we aren't going to focus on miraculous mystical awakenings. Instead, we're going to look at how these few words apply directly to your Tuesday afternoon at the office. Okay, let's break this down a bit. First, what does it mean to let the mind arise? It means to let your heart rise up, to feel, to act, to love fully. Notice that the Buddha is absolutely not telling you to become a cold, emotionless stone. But then comes the second part: dwell nowhere. To dwell means to linger, to stick, or to literally nail your mind to one fixed point. So what the Buddha is essentially saying is, give your whole heart to your actions, but do not glue your mind to the rating, the feedback, or that final result. To really illustrate the difference here, just picture a simple dinner party. On one side, you have letting the mind arise. You cook a beautiful meal for a friend with genuine care and warmth. That right there is pure engaged action. Now contrast that with dwelling. This is when you spend the entire dinner obsessing over things like, do they think I'm a generous host? Are they going to invite me to their house next week? Suddenly, obsessing over what you get in return completely sours an otherwise beautiful action. Dwell nowhere doesn't mean you shouldn't host the dinner. It just means host it, genuinely enjoy it, and don't let your heart stick to the return on investment. Section 2. Engaging versus grasping. Now, we really need to clear up a massive misconception here. When people hear phrases like non-attachment or dwell nowhere, they so often think it means you should just coast, not care, and, take everything lightly. They use it as a convenient excuse to half-finish things and just call it being chill. But look at the history. The Buddha taught for 49 years. He walked continuously from place to place. He absolutely did not coast. He engaged enormously and cared deeply about the people he was teaching. This pretty much proves that dwelling nowhere was never about detaching from life or giving up. In fact, it's actually a higher, much more sustainable form of ambition. You give it absolutely everything, but you don't stake your basic human worth on whether you win or lose the game. So how do you actually know if you're engaging or grasping? Well, I like to use what I call the 3-second test for when a result finally lands. Take the engaged person. They gave it their all. If the result is bad, they're disappointed, sure, but they adjust and they try again. The project is just the project, and they are them. Now look at the grasping person. For them, a bad result isn't just disappointment, it's a total collapse, because they staked their very right to exist on that outcome. Their hand was literally clenched white-knuckled around the result. So here's the absolute crucial takeaway. Don't wire your gas pedal and your brakes to a single floating number. People who dwell nowhere actually perform much more steadily over time. They last way longer in their careers and they burn out far less frequently. Why? because their entire identity and motivation isn't being violently yanked around by a 100-point scale. They're driven, yes, for sure, but they aren't fragile.
Section 3. The modern KPI illusion.
Let's take all this ancient wisdom and apply it as a stark reality check for our modern corporate environments, where, let's be honest, metrics rule absolutely everything we do. Another famous line from our source material is, "All forms are illusory." Now, forms refers to external appearances, labels, and those measurable shapes we love so much. And when it says illusory, it definitely doesn't mean these things are fake or that they don't exist. It means they constantly shift, they change, they're not fixed, and therefore they simply cannot represent the whole, complete truth of reality. You drop that ancient truth into today's world, and honestly, it stings a little, doesn't it? Just think about our modern forms: KPIs, sales numbers, follower counts, likes, salary, job titles. We've basically been trained since childhood to define ourselves by these numbers. If the numbers look good, I'm a success. If the numbers look bad, I'm worthless. But if you hand your entire identity over to these constantly shifting forms, well, you're destined to spend your entire lifetime being violently tossed around in the waves, never actually finding any peace. Now, to be clear, the Diamond Sutra isn't telling you to just ignore your KPIs, tell your boss off, and go live in a cave somewhere in the mountains. Instead, it tells you to stand firm in front of the numbers. Realize that a number is just a reflection of something you did in a specific moment in time under very specific conditions. It is not who you are. You can absolutely still pursue excellence, you can still chase targets, but you can do it all with the absolute clarity that the quarterly report does not define your soul. Section 4. Act without dwelling today. All right, let's bring this explainer in for a landing with some concrete, practical behavioral changes that you can implement the minute this ends. Here are 3 highly effective daily practices you can start right now. Step 1. When you finish a presentation or a big project, before you rush to check the metrics or desperately ask, "How did it go?" take 3 seconds and ask yourself, "Given my conditions right now, did I give my best?" If yes, draw a quiet full stop right there. This brilliantly shifts your self-worth back to your engagement. Step 2. Pay attention to your internal language. Change that tight, suffocating phrase, "I have to succeed," to "I'll give it everything, then accept the result." Trust me, it gives you so much room to breathe. And step 3. Once a day, do one small thing with absolutely no payback. Help someone who literally can't thank you. Do a chore no one will ever notice. Practice letting the mind arise without dwelling on the return. You're going to find these are the moments your heart feels the absolutely freest. I want to leave you with this final thought to wrap up our explainer today. You don't have to win to be worthy. Keep the effort, loosen the grip. You can give this life absolutely everything you have and still remain entirely free from the crushing weight of outcomes. So I'll leave you with this question to ponder as you jump back into your day. What is one outcome you are gripping so tightly right now? And what would happen if you simply let go of the result and just enjoyed the work?